Hello and welcome. This isn't the video I originally intended to make today. I had plans to do a quick episode, a routine episode, really just to clear up some common miscommunications about who owns what in the Elvis world now. But then, as I was preparing for that, something came across my feed and honestly the plans had to stop. I felt a powerful need to change course and pivot to something deeply personal and far more important: mental health awareness and the enduring weight of grief. We need to talk about this heavy topic to honor the memory of Lisa Marie Presley and her son Benjamin Keough. And I'll tell you, I speak about this from a place of painful firsthand experience. I've lost multiple friends to suicide. I know the sudden catastrophic nature of that final call. I know the guilt, the what ifs, and the endless silence that follows. I live with it every day. It's the agonizing question that haunts you. Could I have done something? Was I a bad friend? Could I have been there more? I can tell you unequivocally that Lisa Marie Presley was right. You never get over grieving people. You simply learn to carry them. This isn't just about statistics. It's about the relentless, agonizing truth of survival. Grief doesn't send a warning. It arrives like a sudden, permanent storm. And for the survivors of suicide loss, the burden is uniquely isolating. The tragic death of Benjamin Keough by suicide was a private trauma that instantly became a very public focal point for a silent epidemic. This form of bereavement, which experts call post-ventation, is different. It is layered with profound guilt, relentless self-blame, and a debilitating sense of shame. Society pressures the bereaved to move on, but when the loss is this catastrophic, that simply is not an option. Lisa Marie Presley herself spoke to this agonizing reality, validating the experience of millions when she stated, "Grief is something you will have to carry with you for the rest of your life." Her candid admission was a crucial, necessary form of advocacy, amplifying the need for specialized long-term support. The human story provides the emotional momentum, but a coordinated global effort is needed for change policy. This is the foundation of World Mental Health Day, observed annually on October 10th. This Awareness Day has evolved beyond simply reducing stigma. The global mandate is to dismantle the systematic barriers to care. The themes have changed from generalized awareness to mandates like focus on suicide prevention and mental health is a universal human right. This isn't just a feel-good day. It's a global imperative to close the delivery gap, the gap between knowing help exists and accessing that help. It's okay to ask for help. We need to internalize a simple, powerful truth. It is okay to ask for help. In fact, asking for help is the strongest, most active choice you can make on your path to healing. If you are struggling right now, that action has a simple, unforgettable number: 988. The 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline is your national front door. It is confidential, available 24/7, and it is not just for suicidal thoughts. It's a universal entry point for any severe emotional distress, substance use concerns, or relationship crisis. But a life journey with mental illness or profound grief requires long-term help. The resources are there, but they require navigation. For education and advocacy, look to organizations like the National Alliance on Mental Illness. They offer structured peer-to-peer and family-to-family programs that turn fear into understanding. For treatment navigation, use the SAMHSA locators. They are the map, connecting you with quality care based on your specific insurance and needs. And for the distinct trauma of suicide loss, the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention offers extensive, specialized support groups where survivors can connect with others who truly understand the lifelong weight of this grief. The infrastructure is sophisticated, but the greatest challenge is the resource awareness gap. The help is there, But people don't know how to find the right resource for their complex situation. We must fund navigation services, dedicated advocates whose sole job is to help families analyze their needs and effectively utilize the tools that exist. And finally, we must honor the true, enduring weight of grief by mandating sustained postvention funding for peer support groups that don't end after the immediate crisis, funding that acknowledges that healing is non-linear and potentially lifelong. The enduring weight of grief compels us to act. The global imperative of World Mental Health Day demands we translate empathy into permanent, accessible institutional change. If you are struggling, remember that help exists, and it is absolutely okay to ask for it. Please, find your path to help. Now, before I go, I want to end this video by reading Lisa Marie's article that she wrote for People Magazine, or People.com, back in 2002. So this was written for National Grief Awareness Day in 2022. So she says, today is National Grief Awareness Day. And since I have been living in the horrific reality of its unrelenting grip since my son's death 2 years ago, I thought I would share a few things to be aware of in regard to grief for anyone who is interested. It is not to help yourself, but maybe to help another who is grieving. This is not a comfortable subject for anyone, and it is most unpopular to talk about. This is quite long, potentially triggering, and very hard to confront. But if we're going to make any progress on the subject, grief has to get talked about. I'm sharing my thoughts in the hopes that somehow we can change that. Death is part of life, whether we like it or not. And so is grieving. There is so much to learn and understand on the subject, but here's what I know so far. One, that grief does not stop or go away in any sense a year or years after the loss. Grief is something you will have to carry with you for the rest of your life, in spite of what certain people or our culture wants us to believe. You do not get over it, you do not move on, period. 2, grief is incredibly lonely. Despite people coming in the heat of the moment to be there for you right after the loss takes place, they soon disappear and go on with their own lives, and they kind of expect for you to do the same, especially after some time has passed. This includes family as well. If you're incredibly lucky, less than a handful will remain in contact with you after the first month or so. Unfortunately, that is a cold, hard truth for most. So if you know someone who's lost a loved one, regardless of how long it's been, please call them to see how they are doing. Go visit them. They will really appreciate it more than you know. 3, and particularly if the loss was premature, unnatural, or tragic, you will become a pariah in a sense. You can feel stigmatized and perhaps judged in some way as to why the tragic loss took place. This becomes magnetized by a million if you are the parent of a child who passed, no matter how old they are, no matter the circumstances. I already battle and beat myself up tirelessly and chronically, blaming myself every single day, and that's hard enough to now live with. But others will judge and blame you too, even secretly or behind your back, which is even more cruel and painful on top of everything else. This is where finding others who have experienced a similar loss can be the only way to go. Support groups that have your specific kind of loss in common. I go to them, and I hold them for other bereaved parents at my home. Nothing, absolutely nothing takes away the pain. But finding support can sometimes help you feel a little bit less alone. Your old friends and even your family can and will run for the hills. The unrelenting reality is that you are forced into this horrendous club. If you will, then you never wanted to be in or a part of, and you are forced to then, for lack of a better term, have to go and find your new people now. I now truly cherish the few who have stayed in there with us throughout this entire nightmare process from the onset. And I have also now come to love and cherish my newfound friends who are in the same club. If I'm being honest, I can understand why people may want to avoid you once a terrible tragedy has struck, especially a parent losing their child, because it is truly your worst nightmare. I can recall a couple of times in my life where I knew parents who lost their child, and while I could be there for them when it happened, I avoided them after and never bothered to follow up with them because they quite literally became a representative of my biggest fear. I also low-key judged them, and I swore I'd never do whatever it was that I felt they either did or neglected in their parental actions and choices with their child. Yet here I am. I am now living what it's like to be that same representative to other parents. Obviously, no parent chooses this road, and thankfully not all parents will have to become a victim to it. And I do mean victim here. I used to hate that word. Now I know why. I've dealt with death, grief, and loss since the age of 9 years old. I've had more than anyone's fair share of it in my lifetime, and somehow I've made it this far. But this one, the death of my beautiful, beautiful son, the sweetest and most incredible being that I had ever had the privilege of knowing, who made me feel so honored every single day to be his mother, who was so much like his grandfather on so many levels that he actually scared me, which made me worry about him even more than I naturally would have. No. Just no. No, 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 no. It's a real choice to keep going, one that I have to make every single day, and one that is constantly challenging to say the least. But I keep going for my girls. I keep going because my son made it very clear in his final moments that taking care of his little sisters and looking out for them were on the forefront of his concern and his mind. He absolutely adored them and they him. Me and my 3 daughters' lives as we knew it were completely detonated and destroyed by his death. We live in this every single day. I'm saying all of this on this particular day, National Grief Awareness Day, in the hopes that I can help raise some awareness of grief and loss. Just know after this day passes, for all of your friends who have had a loved one die, every day is Grief Awareness Day. I'm saying this in hopes that it helps someone who is suffering as I and my children suffer. In the hopes that maybe today or as soon as possible you can reach out to someone who is grieving someone they loved and lost. Whether they lost a child, a parent, a spouse, a sibling, a fiance, anyone. Ask them how they're doing. Ask them to talk about their person. Yes, we do want to talk about them. That's how we keep them alive in our hearts. That's how we don't get forgotten. That is what keeps us alive as well. And do me a favor. Don't tell them that you can't imagine their pain. The truth is, oh yes you can, you just don't want to. Thanks for reading all this. I know how hard and triggering it is, but maybe let it trigger you to reach out to someone who needs it right now rather than just triggering something bad. Written with all my love and my pain, most sincerely, LMP. So, I know that it was really hard for Lisa to write that, but I'm glad she left us some sort of resources to know what she was going through. Because I can't imagine what it's like losing a child. I really can't. But, yeah, so on this World Mental Health Day, reach out to someone you know is struggling and just check in on them and see how they're doing. Just be their friend. That's all you gotta do. Just be their friend. All right, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.